And boom, just like that, another week has gone by. Well, here we are. It's Monday evening. It's 5 o'clock here on the West Coast, 8 in the East, and I'm glad that you're with me. Hopefully enjoying some nice summer weather where you are. Just to let you know, next Monday will be no live show. Andrea and I are going to be traveling back east. We're going to Kingston, Ontario, to test drive the new Nissan Pathfinder. So it's going to be a travel day on Monday, so we won't be doing a live show next week. But the good news is, at the end of next week, you'll get a Pathfinder video. So that's worth it, isn't it? All right, just want to let you know that we have a bunch of people loaded up with questions already. So before we get started, once again, it popped up there, Car Cost Canada is the main sponsor of the channel. Don't forget to sign up using the promo code MOTORMOUTH. That's the name of the channel, and you can become an expert member. If you're shopping for a car, especially these days, because inventories are so tight, any kinds of deals and incentives might be quite slim, but you'll never really know that unless you sign up to Car Cost Canada, use the promo code MOTORMOUTH, and then you become an expert member. What it shows you is what the dealership paid for the specific trim you're looking for. It also shows you if there are any discounts or rebates, and sometimes these are secret rebates that are not really made aware to the public. And the only way you'll know that is if you sign up. So please do that. All right, what's coming up tomorrow? The Honda Civic Mazda 3 comparison drops tomorrow. Then on Wednesday, we have the couple car review. It's the Mercedes-Benz GLS 63, the big dog with the big black wheels. At the end of the week is kind of a fun, cool, or collectible car. It's a 1977 Toyota Celica liftback. What is it? 95,000 original miles on it, or if you're in the U.S., it's a Celica. And then on Saturday, we drop the BMW X7. So as people are loading on, we're going to get into the pictures. First one is, I'm very jealous of Martin in Oakville. He has got an Acura TSX Type S. Now, I'm really kind of disappointed with Honda and Acura Canada. They are not making one available as a press unit here on the West Coast. So I asked him where he lives. He's in Oakville. I was like, oh, shoot. I would have borrowed it for a couple hours, but there you go. Martin's got a, he liked it, by the way. He thinks the handling is fantastic. Next up, this is from Claude, who's in Evian, France, and he spotted some diesels. Here's one. It's a Defender, an old Defender. That's cool. And hopefully, Claude, you're having a nice vacation there. Next one is Maurizio. Sent a picture of his Accord Touring over. So that is a nice looking car. I think that is a really underrated car, the Accord Touring. Next up, a really cool shot. This one is Alex Tan set a picture in of his Tesla Model 3 Performance. Looks very dynamic there in the red. And the final one, late entry, came in just before we went to air. This is Steven, who sent his picture of a 1988 Jeep. Now that is a pretty badass looking Jeep. I think it's fantastic. Okay, so if you're new to this, you probably subscribe because you're notified, and we're live here on a Monday. If you want to, and you just have to have a question answered, you can always do a super chat, and we're going to start with one here because it's always nice to get a super chat. There you go. Proposal for the 200,000K sub celebration, Andrea on the weekly live stream. By the way, going way against the weather pattern and having a triple Carmelit. It's like Christmas in July, but I do have the AC blasting. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but sounds cool. Yeah, Andrea on the live stream. Andrea's like, she's already too busy with all the other stuff we do on the channel. So yeah, maybe we'll do that, but we'll see. Yeah, we're coming up to 175,000 subs, so not going to be too far away. We're hoping to have a contest as we get towards 200,000 subs, so stay tuned for that. Okay. All right, as we pile on. Oh, welcome. Oh, it's the Beer Elf. Hello, Beer Elf. Have a seat. You got the, is that the matching hat and hood shirt? Sweatshirt?
No, but it's the same color, I guess.
So Jack's excited because his birthday's coming in September.
Yep.
And you're planning a trip to see the Seahawks.
I am. September 19th against the Titans is what I want to go see. Day after my birthday. So
listen, the border isn't open yet.
It will be.
We're hoping.
Apparently September 8th is when it's supposed to open. So, yeah.
All right. Jack's putting
Hopefully,
the pressure on to go see the Seahawks.
Well, if not that, later in the year.
Okay.
Should be good.
We'll talk about it over dinner. Yeah. Okay, Jack. Thanks for the beer. Pilsner Arkel. Nice and cold. So that's what you call a subscriber sip. Now, if you're here early and you're watching live, you're probably a subscriber. But if you're watching after the fact, I take a sip, you subscribe. How's that sound? All right, good stuff. We're all here for the questions and answers. So let's get into it. First one up is C-Square. The European Commission proposes ban for internal combustion engine cars by 2035. No hybrids will be allowed. Only EVs. Does not seem feasible. I think that a lot of these proposals to ban internal combustion engines, it all sounds simple, right? It's easy for politicians, especially politicians who know nothing about cars, to just stand up and go, oh yeah, we're just going to like wave a wand and get rid of internal combustion engines. Well, I'm not sure if you've noticed, but there's a huge number of delivery vans and trucks and you name it that keep the wheels of the economy moving that are not electric. And not a lot of electric options even in the short term. So in the long and medium term. So we'll have to wait and see. And what's the cost of all of this? Like, once you start to tally up what the bill is going to be, I think a lot of people are going to be like, well, wait a second. So anyway, well, I say we have to sit and wait. The one thing I will say, all of these car manufacturers, whether it's Ford, General Motors, the Volkswagen Group, Daimler, Chrysler, BMW, whomever they are Tesla, are spending billions and billions and billions of dollars on research and development for electrification. You could almost see them putting the squeeze on governments to make a change, because then it would force people, if they're buying a new car, to be forced to buy an electric car. So that is something we're going to maybe see from them. And then I think we're going to have some hoarding of existing vehicles. I'm not sure. We're going to have to wait and see. May you live in interesting times, and we are certainly living in that. Hey, Zach, I finally figured out the car that I'll be purchasing, a Genesis G70, but I'm having trouble picking the engine. Should I stick with the 4-cylinder or go for the big boy 6? Cheers. Well, if you can afford the 6-cylinder, you will not be disappointed. It's a fantastic engine, 3.3-liter twin-turbo V6. However, I will say, off the top of my head, it's $255, I believe, for the turbo 4-cylinder. Great engine. And it also comes down to your running costs, like if you're willing to put up with a higher fuel price, a higher fuel cost, I should say. If it was me and I was buying a G70, I would try to stretch for the 3.3 liter. So, Genesis does a great job of letting you drive them, bringing them to you. So figure out if it's, if you can afford it and you can afford the running cost of keeping it, because you won't be disappointed with that engine. I got a used BMW X3 2017, and just after 2,000 kilometers, I got a message on the screen saying drive moderately. Minimum drivetrain output not available. It went away the next day. Should I be concerned? That sounds to me like the car went into what is called limp mode. So basically, you just have a minimal amount of power to get you down the road. In the old days, to get cars that were stuck on the side of the road. Now cars have a protective system that they can go into what's called limp mode. So it limps along. It gets you down the road somewhere safe and you can park the car. I would get the car checked out. What you're going to find out is there will be a code that the system threw when they hook it up to the car. They're going to be able to check for the codes and find out exactly what happened. It could just be some kinds of an emissions anomaly. If the check engine light came on, that would definitely signify it was emissions. But you don't want to leave it. Get it checked. Spend a little bit of money and investigate. That's what I would do. TGC, hey Zach, your thoughts on the upcoming NX 2022? I think that the NX is going to be a big hit. Well, it is a big hit for Lexus. Worldwide, the NX is the best seller. I mean, a lot of people said when I said that in the little short video I did, well, the RX is the best seller. RX is the best seller in North America, but you know, they sell these things outside of North America. And that size of vehicle, the compact premium SUV, is red hot. So you've got a base model, basically the same engine as the RAV4. Then you've got the hybrid version, which is the same as the RAV4. Then you've got the high output version of the 2.3, what was the size of the engine again? 2.4 liter turbo. That's going to be pretty impressive. Then you've got the plug-in variant of it, and these are all coming to market at the same time. So Lexus and Toyota have said, you know, most of them are going to be made here in North America. The plug-in is going to be made in Japan, maybe a little bit delayed, but they're going to be getting it to us. So that's exciting. I mean, a lot of choices. It's going to be around October, November when it finally hits dealerships. You know, a much better looking vehicle, actually not better looking, just a updated version of what they kind of do already, and a huge 14-inch screen on the inside. So let's wait until we drive it. It's going to be typical Lexus from what I would guess. You know, it's going to drive like a Lexus, but that's a good thing. That's a huge market. I think that it's definitely an exciting product for that category. And the fact they have so many engine variants is great for consumers. Excuse me. The Queen's Half Corgi. Would you buy your teenagers a two-seater or a 2+2 like the MX-5 or the GR86? They are not very fast and can't fit a lot of their friends inside. Plus, manual and rear-wheel drive will make a couple out of them faster. Oh, that's true. Yeah, I think that, I mean, sure, but it really limits what you can use the car for. So you got to remember, your kids aren't the only ones driving the car. So yeah, you would be a fun car to have, like a Miata, an MX-5 Miata. I just think whenever you have a sportier car, you're asking for trouble from kids who will just try to push the envelope. You know, I know what I was like when I was younger. When my parents weren't around and I was driving the family car, I was beating the crap out of it. So whenever you have a sporty car, like a little car like that, you will try and do things to it that you wouldn't do when your parents are around. I don't know. I think, you know, we have a Honda Civic that we drive and the kids drive. It's just the perfect amount of dull. It's just the perfect amount of slow to get the job done. Teach them to drive, get them going, but nothing exciting. It's just the perfect amount of dull. That should be the name of the Honda Civic. The perfect amount of dull. Versa, Accent, or Rio. I'm a big fan of the Rio. I just think you get a lot of content in that car. And I think they've all been canceled except they brought the Versa back, but not the hatchback, the Versa sedan. SQ5 Lease up in October called Audi Finance for buyout value, and they insist I need to call the dealer. Anyways, wife wants another brand. Should I just return or try to make a few bucks and resell? Yeah, so what you can do is you can work with your dealer and see if you can do what's called an in and out with them. So if you're changing brands, that's going to be a little bit trickier. You might be able to buy the car out and then trade it in right away at the other dealership. This is something you're going to have to do a little bit more homework on. So yeah, so that's called an in and out, meaning you're buying the car, you're trading it in on another vehicle, and then you're getting the tax advantage back on the next one. It's a little bit tricky. So it's easier when you're dealing with the same brand. If you don't go back to Audi, then you have to actually go out and open a can of worms. Now, what I would suggest is an SQ5, depending on the mileage and all those sorts of things, it could be worth it to buy it out and then trade it in. But you'll have to run the numbers on it, find out what the buyout is, what the market conditions are. There's a lot more going on with that than just taking it back to Audi. Hey Zach, what do you think of the Escape PHEV? It doesn't have all-wheel drive and has slightly less range than the RAV4 Prime, but it's quite a bit cheaper. I haven't driven it, to be honest with you. They don't have one available here. Yeah, it is a step back to not have all-wheel drive. I think that the hybrid version of the Escape is excellent. I think they did a very, very good job with it. The current model Escape is a vastly improved product. Drives well. The hybrid is very good. The hybrid is actually more efficient than the RAV4 hybrid, marginally by just like a point something liters per 100K. But anyway, they did achieve that. No, I haven't driven the PHEV, so I really can't say. Here's Josh from Montreal. Hey, Zach. So Tesla is giving me a Model Y for an overnight test drive. I think it's going to be my pick because it's a good option considering how much hydration. Or report back next week. How much hydration? I'm not sure what you mean by hydration, Josh. Oh, here he goes. How much I drive. And at the end of the day, you hydrate like this. This is what you do, Josh. You do all that work. You make all that money. You come home. You have a nice cold beer. Or in my case, I work from home and I have a nice cold beer. Yeah, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on it. Andrew and I are going to get our hands on a Model Y probably in September. Of course, there's no press units here. We're just going to have to figure out how to get one, but we're working on that. Yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Now, Josh, why don't you just fess up and tell us the real reason? Don't you get a big chunk of money from the Quebec government to take this car? I mean, when you have your government bribing you with your own money, or debt, I should say, to get an electric car, that really figures into the equation, doesn't it? What do you think of some media liberal environmentalist leftist that is criticizing Toyota's approach to electrification? Well, I think one of the problems we have, and I'm not going to comment on being left or whatever, is that a lot of these really simple approaches to things where people just say, oh, we're just going to all be electric. We're just going to ban anything that isn't an electric car by 2030 or 2035. Well, it's just too simple. You know, the devil is in the details. And Toyota does have a point. I mean, I was in Japan with Toyota, for the last Tokyo Motor Show, and they had a big symposium with all of the engineers and executives there at Toyota, and they made a very good point. You know, for every one battery electric vehicle that is sold, you could take the energy density in those batteries and divide it up by a large number and split it into hybrid vehicles. So Toyota's approach is really quite good. And you just look at the way the sales are going of the RAV4. So Toyota thought maybe 15 to 20% of people would buy the RAV4 hybrid. It's way past that. And you're going to see as they introduce more and more hybrid models in full-line vehicles, like you think about the Sienna, it's only available with a hybrid. You think about the Highlander. Highlander hybrid is selling quite well. So you take that energy density of one battery electric vehicle and you slice it up into many hybrid vehicles. I think it's 14 you could make out of, maybe it's even more than that, out of one battery electric vehicle. So if you have 20, 30, 40, 50% of the fleet that's on the road using a considerably less gasoline, will have a greater reduction of carbon in the atmosphere than just having 2, 3, 4% of people driving pure battery electric vehicles. That's their approach. That's their mantra. It actually makes sense. So if you could get a large number of people using a lot less fuel, will have a greater impact on the environment than the current, anywhere from 3 to 4% of the population buying a pure battery electric vehicle. You know, share that density of energy over a larger number of vehicles. That's their approach. But I think that when you get environmentalists, they want it to be, all or nothing. And that's not the way the world works. I actually did a radio interview here in Vancouver on the big talk channel called CKNW, where I had a radio show there for many years, asking about, there was an editorial in the Globe and Mail saying that pickup trucks should be banned. And I said, the hard reality is there's a big disconnect between what people perceive we should be doing and what people actually do. The numbers are in. Pickup truck sales are through the roof. The fastest growing segment in the Canadian auto industry, because I got the stats for the Canadian auto industry, in the first 6 months of 2021, it's not little economy cars. I mean, subcompact car sales have gone off the cliff even more. So these are very efficient little cars. No one's buying them. You know what's selling? full-size trucks, full-size SUVs, large luxury SUVs. So think of the Escalade, the Tahoe, the Denali, the Suburban, all of those big GM trucks that have finally been released into the marketplace. That's what's selling. So people vote with their dollars. It's easy for environmentalists to say, oh yeah, we're getting rid of all these things, but the public isn't buying it. I mean, they're buying it in urban areas where the government pays you to buy a car. That's why you see sales in British Columbia and Quebec are strong. You go outside of those areas, sales of electric cars are not that strong. I mean, and then you get on the whole rebate thing. I would much rather all of that money go into mass transit for everybody. More trains, more subways, more streetcars, more buses, more everything for everybody, instead of giving people a discount on their single person transportation vehicle. All right, enough of that. Here's John from the East Coast saying, hope all is well on the West Coast. Nice to see you, John. Glad you're here. Do you think it's still worth it to buy a gas car these days, or should I just wait a couple more years for hybrid electric vehicle cars to mature? Listen, you don't have to wait at all. You can go and buy a hybrid car today that is going to deliver everything you need and reduce your consumption by about 30% overnight. And the price, the gateway to entry is very low. We'll pick the RAV4 because it's the best-selling passenger vehicle in Canada. For you to go from the regular gas model into the hybrid version, I think it's around $1,300. Not much. And you start saving fuel right away. And as I mentioned, if we could get 30, 40, 50% of consumers on the road driving hybrids, our emissions would be way lower, way lower. Okay, instead of having 3-4% of people driving just battery electric vehicles. So if you're considering buying a new car, consider a hybrid. That Tucson hybrid, the Hyundai Tucson hybrid, fantastic. And then the Sportage version of it is going to be coming later this year. A couple of excellent choices. I'm afraid in a couple of years, gasoline engine vehicles might become impractical because government is forcing clean energy and zero efficient vehicles. Well, the one thing I've always wondered about, now I'd have to speak to a lawyer about this. If, for example, government came out and said, we're banning internal combustion engines, you're no longer allowed to drive your existing vehicle, could you mount a class action lawsuit against the government for basically eliminating any value you have? So say you've got a car outside and it's worth $30,000, then all of a sudden the government says you can't drive it anymore. Well, who's making you whole on that vehicle's worth nothing, right? So we're talking we're not talking some vehicles, we're talking most vehicles. Like I said, it's easy to make these grand statements. The devil is in the details. How are you actually going to do it? And then if they're not banned, people are going to hoard these cars. They're not going to sell them. They're going to keep them and drive them indefinitely. That's what I think. Evan is asking me about emails. Evan, I have told you before, and I emailed back to you. Your emails have not come through. If you sent me emails from several weeks ago, resend them. I got your email asking if I got emails, and I wrote back and said no. So please resend the original emails or start again and then send them. So please get them through. Oh, by the way, since we're on emails, my email is zack@motormouth.ca. That's ZACK@motormouth.ca or ZACK@motormouth.ca if you want to get a picture through. I didn't mention that at the beginning. Henry's here. Hey, Zach, last week bought a new MDX A-Spec based on your review and other research. Love it and got a good deal using Car Cost Canada, even though there is little inventory. Win, win, win. Well done, Henry. I love that. That's fantastic. First of all, MDX fantastic. I think they did a great job with that. And the fact that you use Car Cost Canada to save a few bucks in light of the inventory situation, well done. So if you haven't signed up yet, become an expert member, use the promo code MOTORMOUTH, go to Car Cost Canada. In this environment that we're in right now, where there's very little inventory, dealers really don't really want to do much dickering around with the price. The most information you have is the best information you have. So find out what the dealer paid for the car, then go in, get your best deal, and be happy. Just like Henry. What sells more, 2 or 3-row midsize SUV? And what are their resale values like? Well, that's an easy one. 3-row definitely outsell 2-row. There's just more options. Like you think about 2-row midsize SUVs. You've got the Grand Cherokee, Ford Edge, the Murano. Those are just a few off the top of my head. Oh, we have the Passport from Honda. You've got the Atlas Cross Sport or Sport Cross or what the hell they're calling it now. But there's way more 3-row 7-passenger units. I would suspect it could go one of two ways. I don't know what the resale values are, how they're different. Whenever you have a small number of something and there's less of them in the used market, that can actually work in your favor for resale value. So for example, say you had a Honda Passport and now you're looking for a 2-year-old one and there's very few of them sold new. There's going to be even less of them available used. So is the market going to pay more for that vehicle? I'm not quite sure. There's going to be plenty of the 3-row regular versions of that. So I'm not sure on the value, but definitely 3-row sell more. What do you think of a used Lexus RX 350? I think that if you want easy to drive, no hassle kind of car that's going to be very reliable, you'd be hard pressed to find something better than that. Super chat, love me some super chat. Thinking of leasing a 2021 Sentra SR Premium. When thinking of total cost of lease, mainly looking at net price minus residual value, which is about $12K for 3 years. So I'm not sure what your question is here. Thinking of leasing, I'm not sure what, if you could write back and clarify what your question is. First of all, I think the Sentra is a great car. I think they did a great job with it. I even mentioned it when we did the Hyundai Elantra video, that the Elantra won North American Car of the Year. I thought Nissan did a way better job updating the Sentra, and the price of that thing, even on this top trim that you're talking about, is less. Like for example, so is it the Sentra? The top trim Sentra is around $26,000. The base model Civic starts at almost $25,000. I mean, there's a lot of value there. So please, if you could type a few more things. You don't have to do a super chat. I'll come back and have a look and see what we can figure out. All right. Now we're going to figure out, where the hell was I? Okay, how many people are on? 258 and 49 thumbs up. So if we could get a few more thumbs up, that would be fantastic. That would be really good. And I'm going to have a subscriber sip while you do that. Pilsner Urquell. That's good stuff. All right. Hello, Zach. Recently drove the '05 Nissan Xterra 4.0 with manual transmission. What's your opinion? Highly desirable in the used market for off-road capability. I'm not sure what the value is of that in comparison to, say, like a Toyota. But the fact that it's manual transmission is pretty cool. They are very capable off-road, and off-roaders are looking for that truck. So something to consider. You could own it and drive it. There's always going to be somebody that wants it, especially with a manual transmission. It's a pretty cool vehicle, and unfortunately they don't make it anymore, but guys who know and they want them. So it's a pretty neat vehicle. Amir, go Seahawks. Hi from Seattle. Love it. Jack's a huge Seahawks fan. I'm a Seahawks fan too, because in Vancouver, that's our closest NFL team. But I grew up in Toronto, so I'm actually a Bills fan. And last fall, there was all kinds of plans for us to go to Buffalo to watch the Bills and the Seahawks play. And the Bills won. It would have been a great game, and it was actually nice weather in the fall down there. So it's too bad because of the border and COVID and all. They got the game in with no fans in the stands. So what's going to be really fun to watch is the Seattle Kraken is the new NHL team. So we're hoping we're going to get a good rivalry here, an I-5 rivalry from Vancouver down to Seattle. There's going to be lots of hosers invading Seattle for hockey games. So just beware when you go to Seattle Kraken game when the Canucks are playing. I would guess half the stands will be filled with Canadians. Do you think Nissan is back on track with new products? When do you expect the Armada refresh? I think that they are on the right path. I've quoted my friend Dennis DeRosier so many times on this. Car companies get into trouble with product. And how do they get out of trouble? It's with product. The latest product that we're seeing out of Nissan is very good. So the Sentra I just mentioned, that really impressed me when I drove it a year and a half ago now. Then you have an updated Kicks, which is just kind of a facelift, but it's pretty well done. Then the Rogue, they did a fantastic job on the latest Rogue. And next week, as I mentioned, Andrea and I are going to Kingston, I should say, to drive the new Pathfinder, which has now got a 9-speed automatic. So I think that the brands, Infiniti and Nissan, are listening. Then there's the QX60, which looks pretty good based on the Pathfinder. So how they get out of trouble is with product. They're not out of the woods yet. They still have some big holes in their lineup that need to be addressed, but at least they're heading down the right path. Why aren't there so many B-segment cars in America? Well, small vehicles just don't sell. I just referenced the numbers from Dennis DeRosier talking about large SUVs and luxury SUVs are the fastest growing segment, and one of the fastest shrinking segments are small cars. It's just, I don't know what to say. People want utilities. It's crazy. Hello from New Jersey. Love the channel. Thank you very much. Jacob, Audi Q7 or X7. Currently have a Q5 and love the Audi brand, but also weighing my options. Thoughts? Well, if it's an SQ7, that's a pretty damn special car. The X7, because it's got the base inline 6-cylinder, I would suggest if you can make the swing for the 8-cylinder would probably be the way to go in the X7. If you don't really care about power and all that kind of stuff, then just get the 40i, the inline 6-cylinder. That's going to be plenty fine. I think they did a very good job with the X7. It's basically a larger version of the X5, which is one of my favorites in that category. But if you're looking at maybe an SQ7 with the V8 engine, that's pretty nice, man. That's very nice. I don't have an answer for you. You got to drive them and see which one you like. But yeah, I think the BMWs are going to be pretty hard to beat. Another super chat. Like I said, if you just have to get your question answered, we're here for you. Love their Survivor series on Friday. Looking forward for more. Great work. So I mentioned it earlier. Coming up on Friday, it's a 1977 Toyota Celica GT, or Toyota Celica GT if you're from the US. Liftback, blue with white interior and one owner. A lady bought it in California, drove it here to Canada, and spent the rest of its time here. Wait till you see it. It's pretty cool. So thank you for that. All right, we had somebody else with a super chat, and I didn't quite understand what the question was. So add on to the super chat. What do you look at for total cost when leasing a car? Do you care about total price or just the difference between total cost and residual? Okay, that's a good question. What you want to do, my advice to you is, when you're going to lease a car, is do not tell the dealer that you want to lease it, okay? What you want to do is get the price of the car down as low as you can. So that's where you would go and use Car Cost Canada, for example. Sign up, use the promo code MOTORMOUTH. Find out what the dealer paid for the car. In your case, that's a Sentra. Great car. Not a lot of room in that one for negotiating, but there will be some. So you go in there and say the car you want, as I mentioned, the top trim is around $26,000, and maybe they paid 24 for it. So you go in there and you say, you know, can we work out a deal like it's say 25? These are just off the top of my head, 25 grand. And the guy says, yeah. Once you agree on the price and you get that price down, then you say, oh, by the way, I want to lease it based on that price, okay? Because every dollar you can drop the price down, you're going to pay less every month. The residual value, the amount at the end of the lease, 3 or 4 years, will remain the same. The percentage will remain the same. So at the end of the lease, we'll say the car's worth 10 grand. That will be the same no matter what you start at. But if you can bring the starting price down, then you will pay less per month, okay? So negotiate the price of the car like you're going to buy it, and then when you get into the business office, you say to them, oh yeah, I'm not financing this, I'm leasing it based on that price. And then the other thing you'll know, because you've been on Car Cost Canada, is you will know if there's any special interest rates, because sometimes the dealer won't tell you that, you know, Sentra for this month is on special lease rate of 1.2% or something like that. You won't know that. But if you go on and get the report, then you're going to have that information. Very powerful stuff. So it's a very good question. So yes, try and get the starting price down and then tell them after the fact. All right? Raymond, another super chat. What do you think of the '05 Acura TSX? Do you think it's worth it to buy? I'm not a fan of the first TSX. TSX. So TLX. TL. I get those two. Okay, TL. There was the TL, and then they changed it to the TLX. You're talking about the TSX. Fantastic car. Took me a while to get there. When they changed, they put two models together. It's a great car. The TSX is the European Honda Accord. Okay, we never got the Accord here, but it really is a wonderful, wonderful car. The only knock against it, and one thing that you should be aware of, is drive it at highway speeds. It is a bit of a buzzy beast on the highway. So please be aware of the cabin noise. That's really the only knock against it. Handles great, fantastic. From the top of my head, it's the 2.4 liter. It was even available with a manual transmission. There's one that we walk by almost every single night. It's navy blue, manual transmission. It is absolutely amazing shape. I would love to have it as a little runaround car. So see what you can figure out about it. Please try it at higher speeds to see if you can live with the cabin noise. That's a really good car. Took me a while to figure out what the hell it was. Yeah, so they had TL, then they had the TSX, and then they made the TLX. Stay clear of the TLX until you get to the new model, the one that just came out. All right. Back up to where I was. Where was I? How many are on board now? 273. We got 104 thumbs up. If we can do a few more, that would be fantastic. A few more thumbs up. Some people say, depending on the platform you're watching, you can or cannot give it a thumbs up. If you can, I appreciate it. Okay, here we go. Do you think there'll ever be a Hellcat minivan or Hellcat wagon? Remember the Magnum? I love that thing. That was a great car. Too bad they don't have it anymore. But they had it with the Hemi. No, I think those days are gone. I think they're gone. I understand the Civic is designed in California, but we Europeans get the car from England, correct? That's just a factory. So what I think you're probably referring to is the hatchback. See, they used to have the SIR that they imported from the UK. Then the hatchbacks were made in England and then brought here to North America. That's not going to happen any longer. I'm not sure exactly what the European Civic looks like, and we're only focusing here on North America. But that factory is just a plant. It doesn't mean it's designed differently. So I really don't know much about the European version of that, but we're not importing them any longer from there. Sorry, I can't answer that. U.S. is not opening border if he's driving. Yeah, we know that. We know the border isn't open yet. Is there a big difference between the Highlander Platinum and low trim Lexus RX? I would suggest that, yeah, I mean, we're talking about quite different kinds of approaches. So with the Highlander, you get a touch-sensitive interface. With the Lexus RX, you get the trackpad. You either love it or you don't. I prefer the touch over the trackpad. I would say there's probably the higher trim of the Highlander arguably has as nice a ride as the Lexus RX. I'm not a huge fan of the Lexus RX for the way it drives. It's okay. Doesn't light me on fire, but neither does the Highlander. These are a perfect example of being really good at a lot of things, but not really great at anything. Except for if you get the hybrid versions that have fantastic fuel economy. They're very good products. They're just not exciting in any way. I suggest you try them both. I would probably go with the Highlander. Also because the RX is now getting old, right? It's due to be refreshed. Another super chat from Edward. Just wanted to buy y'all some coffees for the next video. Great work. Keep it up. Thank you. I guess that's for questions, coffee, and cars. It's funny because, you know, when I do the bills, I go through the bills, and our biggest expense for food and stuff for the channel is Starbucks. We drink a lot of coffee. So I appreciate that. It's very nice of you. Okay. A few more thumbs up would be great. Hi, enjoy your show. How do you see the car market in the next 8 to 10 years? Well, there's the car market that politicians would like to sell you on, but politicians don't live in the real world. I'm coming back to this interview I did today on the radio. You know, people want to just wipe clear internal combustion engines, tell people what they can drive and what they can't drive. People vote with their wallet, and right now people are voting really heavily with their wallet. They're buying bigger SUVs, they're buying pickup trucks faster than they can, they're buying SUVs, they're not buying small fuel efficient cars. Now we're also buying more hybrids, that's good, and we're buying more electric cars, but the percentage of those isn't really moving that much. When you have so many F-150s and Rams and Silverados and Tahoes and Suburbans and all of these on the road, people are voting with their wallet. You get away from urban centers and you go into the real heart of a country, whether you leave California and you go into the central part of the U.S., or you leave the West Coast and you head into the interior British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Northern Ontario. They drive pickup trucks. That's what they drive. And that's the reality. Until you can come with an affordable alternative to all of that, that's what I see. And car companies know that's where their bread and butter is. I applaud Ford for coming out with a hybrid version of the F-150. It's a very good truck. And if I was buying a Ford F-150, I'd really consider it, except for the price. It's too damn expensive. The Mach-E that we drove, there it is there, starts at 50,000 Canadian. That's a lot of money, man. I don't know. There's a big disconnect with what the government wants you to do and what people actually do. That's why it's called voting with your wallet. When do you think we'll have Canadian pricing for the Lexus IS 500? What happens typically is the price of the car is set, can actually be right down to the week before it's released. This is without word of a lie. I have been on press launches. I'll give you an example. I'll just use this as an example. It might not be the case, but it could be. Next week, we're going on the Pathfinder launch, okay? We're having the press conference from the Pathfinder on Wednesday. They might have only decided what the MSRP and the retail price will be this week because they're negotiating. Sometimes if it's a foreign country, like the cars being imported, in this case, from Japan, the Lexus IS is going to be there. So it would be Lexus Canada, for example, negotiating with the Lexus in Japan about what they're going to be able to sell them the car for, and then how much they can charge above that. So these negotiations are going on right up until the launch of the vehicle. So I'm just using a couple of examples. I don't know exactly when the price is formalized, but sometimes it's just honestly, weeks or even days before they go on sale. That's how close they do it. So when the car is going to be on sale, that's when they'll finalize the price. Hey Zach, I agree. How about military vehicles like tanks, APVs, and trucks? Are those going to be going electric? I agree. Those politicians are not thinking ahead. Well, it's a perfect example. They had those huge floods in Europe and Germany, and they had all the military going out there with their big diesel trucks. You know, like, I mean, the world, the economy moves on trucks. And you know, yeah, it's great that Tesla's going to have an electric, you know, semi truck. What's the cost going to be? How's it going to be used? We've got a long way to go before all this all figured out, I should say. All right. J.A. Hey, Zach, great channel. Looking at an '08 Boxster limited edition, manual, 22,000 miles. Your thoughts on paying more for the limited edition? I'm not sure what comes with that limited edition. I'll tell you what the reality is in the market right now in North America. If you want to buy a used Porsche sports car, you are going to have to pay up for it. So how much more is a special edition? I'm not really sure. But when it comes to buying a used Porsche right now, it's the seller's market, not the buyer's market. So have a look around, see what the price differential is between the regular, say, Boxster, Boxster S, and whatever this one is, and then see if you think it's worth it. But if you think you're going to wait and get a better deal in another month, you never know. The deal you get today might actually be better than it will be in a month. We have no idea. But the prices of used cars right now is astronomical, and the prices of used Porsches is astronomical. So maybe, just maybe, you just keep your powder dry and wait. I mean, this too will pass. This mayhem in the used car market and the lack of inventory in the new market and the frothiness of the economy overall because of a lot of money sloshing around, this too will pass. How long that's going to take, I don't know. Is it going to be 6 months, 18 months, 2 years? I don't know what it is. All I can tell you is if you are buying a Porsche and it's in good shape, and this one's got low miles, there's always going to be a market for a car that's well looked after. And there's always a market for special editions. People like that stuff, especially if it was quite small numbers. I'm not sure which special edition you're talking about, but if it was a low volume car, they didn't make a lot of them, that's always desirable in the marketplace. Something to think about. The market is moving and moving fast, especially for that brand. Okay. So a little, speaking about Porsches and unique vehicles. Sorry, I'm just trying to find out where I was. So if you're not aware, I got a 2008 Porsche Cayenne GTS with a manual transmission. Now, I ran the numbers on this. There were 29 of them sold in Canada. And from what I've been able to glean out of the US, there was like 135 roughly of them sold. So there's roughly 165, 170 Cayenne GTS manuals sold in all of North America. They were sold for '08 and '09. I think one sold in 2010. So very, very, very low numbers. Bring a Trailer, the auction site, they had one go across the block this past weekend, I believe. It was, now granted, it was a low mileage. It only had like 30-something thousand miles on it. It went for $91,000. $91,000, which is just absolute insanity. Someone paid $91,000 for a 13-year-old car. Now granted, like I just told you, there's about 170 of them in all of North America. But that is nuts. The used car market is insane. And somebody's paying almost full retail for a 14-year-old car is bananas. But it's good for me. But I mean, I don't know. It's just nutso. I thought I'd pass that along. You can go on Bring a Trailer. Go on Bring a Trailer and type in Cayenne GTS 6-speed. You'll see it. There's two more for sale right now. There's a red one and a silver one. Recently drove the '05 Xterra with manual transmissions. What's your opinion when you test drove it? Oh, from Lima, Peru. Yeah, I think I already answered that one. If the price of a vehicle worth $100,000 is $300,000 to $400,000 worth of taxes, would it be sold? Well, all you need to do is go. I think it's Is it Indonesia? I'm trying to remember what Asian country where they have like 100 or 200% tax on luxury cars. People still buy them because that's a real flex. Like if you have an S class, I'm not sure what country it was. I think it might have been Indonesia. If it was like an S-Class Mercedes and you had one and you were driving around in it, well, you're really rich, right? So you take a $150,000 car and then you triple it. That's a lot of money. Any inside news on the Corolla Cross? I need something small with good ground clearance and somehow cheap. I think a small CV would fit the bill. Yeah, the Corolla Cross was shown in Toronto a couple of weeks ago. My pal Brian Chow from Everyday Reviews, he has a little walk-around video of it. It is going to be going on sale this fall, and in October is when they're going to have their drive event. So it is coming. When we get a chance to drive it, we will, but that's coming this fall. So it is on the way. Oh, this is the Belgian beer. That's basically the opposite of Pilsner Urquell that you're drinking. The Urquell is one of my favorite. Okay, there we go. All right. I don't know that one. But anyway, I'm quite happy to drink Czech Pilsner. Love it. Do you think you'll be driving electric vehicles by 2030? Yeah, we could be. I don't know. I mean, we have our Cayenne diesel that we bought because it was a diesel. And here's a news flash for people. You want to reduce your impact on the environment. Diesel actually reduces carbon. Now, there's questions around low-level pollutants, smog-forming pollutants, but actual carbon output, which is just the direct function of fuel economy, is lower because it uses less fuel. So our plan is not to sell that car. It's just going to keep it. So will we have an electric car by then? I don't know. Like I've said many times on the channel, we live in the middle of the city. This is a 100-year-old house that I'm sitting in here. At the back is where I'd have to park the car. I'd have to have basically the whole back garage area redone, with either a new garage, a parking pad, or whatever. I mean, it's going to be tens of thousands of dollars to do that just so I can have an electric car. I mean, if it was easy, if I had a big suburban garage with a big driveway and it's easy for an electrician to put in a plug, yeah, that would be a bit of a no-brainer. Slightly different for us. The only good thing I would say from where we live is we do so few miles in a year because everything is right around us. So you could have a higher range electric car. Like we had the Bolt last week, 400 kilometers of range. We drove it all week and we never plugged it in once. It was great. So yeah, it could be done. Is Honda planning a pilot hybrid? Nothing official. I could totally see it happening though. Another super chat. Hey Zach. Chase Heffelfinger. Okay. Will you do a review on the 2022 Toyota Tundra when it comes out? Of course we will. Of course we will. So there's all the trucks finally from Toyota are going to start coming. So there's going to be the Tundra. Not sure if the Land Cruiser is going to be coming to our shores. The existing Land Cruiser, no, not available. Then there's, updates to Tacoma, hybridization, Sequoia, all of the big trucks, the body-on-frame vehicles from Toyota, they're starting to work on. So a couple of years ago, I did an interview with Cyril Dimitris, Vice President Toyota Canada at the Detroit Auto Show. You can go back and watch it on the channel. And he said the focus was on their mainline cars. So back then it was they're updating the RAV4, which they did, updating the Corolla, which they did, and all of those sorts of vehicles before they turned their attention to trucks. Now that's happening. So yeah, when we get our hands on one, you bet we'll put it out. Okay. I'm going to 306 on right now. Thank you so much to everybody that's here. It's very nice of you to be here. Okay. Are there any French cars in the USA? No. There are French cars developed with Nissan that are sold here. Like, for example, that Versa we talked about a moment ago. So the Nissan Renault Alliance, there are certainly vehicles that have had some engineering and development done with French engineers. But we'll have to wait and see if any more French vehicles are coming. Now, especially that FCA is Stellantis with Peugeot, we'll have to wait and see. Hey, Zach, thanks to you and Andrea for the lovely videos. Your thoughts on purchasing a new Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo? Would keep it for long. Any issues with the transmission? I love the Grand Cherokee. Just know that if you're buying one, you're at the end of the run, like at the very end of the run. There's going to be a new Grand Cherokee coming. So there's the long wheelbase one that's already been shown. So a new Grand Cherokee is coming. I think it's a wonderful product. It's funny because I was in a part of town here on the weekend, walking down the street, and this really nice white one went by, and he was at the stop sign, and I was like, that's a good rig. I like it a lot. With the transmission, I'm not sure there's any real issues with the transmission. It doesn't have the 9-speed that the Cherokee has. It's got the 8-speed unit. The Grand Cherokee actually has very good reliability scores. A lot of people crap all over, FCA and Stellantis, but the Grand Cherokee, the Durango are very good vehicles. I have no problem recommending them. The 3.6 liter Pentastar V6 has been very, very good for them. So yeah, a good vehicle. Just know that you're buying the very end of the run. There's going to be a new one coming. M2 competition or Porsche Cayman GTS? I gotta go Cayman just because that engine's fantastic. I like the sound better of the M2. Yeah, I gotta go Cayman on that one. Went to Porsche to try Macan. Sales guy said you won't offer a $1 discount. They're starting to produce much less, and the man you want to keep demand and interest high. Do you believe that? Yeah, I don't think that you're going to get any discounts on a Macan. There are none for sale. I was at the Porsche dealer here getting some parts for my GTS. Might be frequently they're going there. Anyway, I was talking to one of the sales managers there. I said, "Do you got any vehicles for sale?" He said, "We have one Macan, one for sale between now and August." And this was 3 weeks ago. There's no inventory. And they're building down the inventory of the existing Macan because the new one has been shown. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. They've shown the new one, facelift on the outside, update on the inside, different center console, and they've updated the horsepower in the engine. So the 3-liter turbo is gone. Now the S and the GTS have the 2.9 liter. It's going to be fantastic to drive. But if you think you're getting a discount on a Macan, keep dreaming. Dealers can't get them, and everyone that comes in is probably already pre-sold. So what I would do is I would order one and just buy it and enjoy it. I heard that GM won't let you sell your lease outside their brand. Have you heard about this? Is it only in the US or Canada? Whenever you have a piece of paper, that's your lease, you can buy it. You can buy it out. And once you own it, then you can do what the hell you want with it. So I think what you're basically saying is they won't let you do a lease return and put any equity towards another product. I don't know the specifics on each individual model or each individual brand and what restrictions there are, but there are ways around it. Would you recommend a Corsair GT or Nautilus Aviator GT coming from a Lincoln MKZ hybrid? Would like all-wheel drive and decent mileage. Sad, no sedans or wagons from Lincoln. Any suggestions? I like the Corsair a lot. I'm not a huge fan of the larger Lincolns. I find the suspension, for me, too soft. The Corsair is the only one in their lineup that actually has a suspension that I like. Now, it's the 2.3, I believe, off the top of my head, is the engine. Not particularly good on gas. So if you're looking for fuel economy, you might want to think of something else. But of the bunch you mentioned, I like the Corsair just because of the way it drives. It's a nice driving small SUV. It's based on the Ford Escape, and as I mentioned, they did a very good job with that. Now, if you like that real traditional luxury feel, yeah, the bigger utilities certainly have that really plush traditional luxury ride. So drive them both and see what you like. For me, it's Corsair because I like the more European kind of handling. If you like traditional North American soft luxury, then the bigger ones will deliver the mail. All right? Okay, everybody. I can smell it from here. Roast chicken tonight. So I am going to say farewell. I want to make sure I didn't miss any super chats down at the bottom here, because that is bad. Yeah. So thanks to everybody that's been on here. Once again, we'll not be here next Monday. We're on the road. We're back on the road again, going to test drive the new Pathfinder. So Andrea is coming with. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's our first couple car review on the road. So that's great. And that video will be coming out a week on Friday. So the new Pathfinder. So no live show next week. But if you want to get a picture in for when we do it again, you can send it to Zach@motormouth.ca, ZACK@motormouth.ca, or ZACK@motormouth.ca. So get your pictures in. That's all the time we have. Thanks to everybody that watched. We'll check with you next time and have a great rest of the week. Cheers.